epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
Well, we were so excited to give you Monday night's action in the IPL. 63 games in. The one thing we hadn't had in what's been a very entertaining season is a washout. Unfortunately, that's been checked as well. Bad weather has followed poor Kolkata Knight Riders around. They struggled to get back home for their last game against Mumbai. They saw a rain-curtailed game then, and they've now seen a washout against the Gujarat Titans, which ends officially the hopes for Shubman Gill's side for making the playoffs. The Titans not making the IPL playoffs for the first time in their short history. The Knight Riders pick up a handy point to go to 19. They're already qualified. They're looking for a top 2 finish. We'll just try and cover the story points after this no result on Monday night on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. It also spoiled the reunion of the original Avengers on the show. It would have been nice to have Wasim, Jaffer, Mitchell McClenaghan, Tom Moody go hard at it, analyze this game in detail, try and get an impact zone point or two their way. Not to be, Tom. Not to be. Wasim.
No, not to be at all. It's a missed opportunity.
It is.
A good chicken burger for dinner. It was nice.
Okay.
From what I saw, you had more than one.
I do.
In all seriousness, it's a missed opportunity for the Gujarat Titans. That's where we'll start this conversation. They don't make the playoffs. We've said this many times, haven't we, Tom? They missed Mohammad Shami, and Hardik Pandya's late departure from the franchise didn't help. But are those holes that can be filled easily going forward? Is there still enough about the Titans in what we can now call a disappointing season?
Yeah, it is a disappointing season. They've had a very high benchmark, though. As you highlighted, they've had an extraordinary start to their IPL career with a win and a final that could have easily gone their way off the very last ball. You know, Jadeja just tucking that 4 out around the corner. But again, we've got to recognise it's going to be a reset for all franchises next year, a big auction. So we don't know what the number of players is that both domestic and overseas can be retained. I'm sure they've got a few there that they'd like to retain. But when it comes to this season, in my view, the biggest miss is Mohammad Shami. I think he is the head of the arrow of that team, particularly their bowling attack, the way that he impacted the opposition with the new ball. He got the good players out that were the real threats. Hardik Pandya, the captain, would call upon him when times were tough. He'd deliver, and he also delivered at the death, which historically hasn't been his strength, but he has grown over the last couple of years to being a really good death bowler as well. So that's it's the equivalent of a Bumrah for Gujarat, Mohammad Shami's impact.
How about their recruitment now in hindsight of the season? The likes of Omar Zai, Spencer Johnson, it didn't quite work. They were in a fierce bidding war for Mitch Stark. But would they reflect on that as well? They will reset, but they didn't quite have the overseas resources that perhaps they had in past seasons.
Yeah, you're right. I guess when it comes down to it, I think they missed that batting power, which never really got filled. I think they were pretty unfortunate that obviously you missed Mohammad Shami, but then the buy that they did buy to come in at number 4, Robin Minns, he obviously got injured before the tournament. So we didn't get to see the purchase that they made. What they pay, 3 or 4 crore for him?
Yeah, decent money.
Decent money for him. So they were going to put the eggs in his basket, and he's a destructive batter, goes at a good clip. So we didn't get to see that opportunity. But then it looked like they didn't have a full safe after that. They thought Umazai might go into that role, but the number 4 role is a tricky role, and he wasn't able to kind of really cement himself in that side.
Shubman Gill was the one thing they would have wanted from last year. 800 plus runs, and maybe all those issues don't become as big. Given it's his first year as captain, how have you rated him? Is he the right man that they will build the squad around him going forward? And we just started seeing Shubman at his best in the last game. Maybe a couple of more scores and he would feel better about the job next year. Do you see them going in that direction? Shubman is captain, and how has his season been for you?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't got the runs that he would have wanted, or even the franchise would have wanted. But I don't think he made a lot of mistakes as a captain. For the first time, somebody who's captaining, because I don't remember him captaining even in the first-class team. So considering that, I thought he did well. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. I think the form of certain players have affected Gujarat. We've talked about Mohammad Shami, we've talked about Hardik Pandya. They kind of wanted Umar Zai to do what Hardik Pandya did, but I thought they didn't stick with him for long. They chopped and changed, and that happens because you keep losing games and you want to find the right balance. They signed Spencer Johnson, but he couldn't do that same job. But I thought, talking about Shubman Gill, I thought he was pretty decent as a captain, just that the runs didn't come as much as he would have wanted to.
Rashid Khan as well. Not the ideal season to have Rashid Khan returning from injury, perhaps for the first time in many years in the IPL.
Yeah, and it's not just a standard injury either. He had back surgery, so that's a significant injury to come back from. It's different if it's a hamstring tear or something minor like that. But he set a very high benchmark of his performances in the IPL or wherever he goes, but he couldn't reach those those marks again. And you can guarantee he will do in time. But that was a bit of a miss for them. But it's one of those seasons where, and there's a couple of teams in this category where few departments weren't firing. So you end up then chasing your tail a little bit with team selection, trying to look for that solution as you're on the move as the tournament unfolds, and you're forever playing catch up.
Do you see Shubman Gill growing into a more comfortable captain next year?
Without a doubt, yeah. He's a sensational player. He showed enough signs with his leadership and his tactical acumen to sort of understand that he's got a good understanding of the game. He plays ahead of the game, doesn't chase the game, which is a real telltale with someone who maybe is not suited to captaincy. Suddenly put a fielder there after the event or change a bowler at the wrong time. All those things. He seemed to have a pretty sound mind out there.
We don't know the number of retentions. Shubman certainly. From the overseas lot, Rashid Khan, David Miller, certain retentions. Anyone else?
No. Maybe maybe
Miller
it's
and Rashid, yeah. Miller
maybe it's
certainly.
Tewatia. Yeah.
Okay, from the Indians, we can add to that Shami, Tewatia,
Sai Sudarshan.
Sai Sudarshan. Yeah, certainly a retention for you.
Yeah.
All right, any other names? Shah Rukh Khan, big money?
No, I don't think so.
No impact from anyone else. Noor Ahmed? Anybody wants to keep Noor
Yeah,
Ahmed?
I'd be tempted to keep the two spinners.
Yep.
Because, they're quite dynamic, both of those two, and they're very different. And we've seen historically they've influenced games and won games.
Sure.
So that'd be
my
tempting.
only concern around that is that with Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill there, you're going to need to get some overseas power players. If you can't pick up some power players, local power players. And
That last game was an evidence of them
I
being able
understand
to
that,
play.
but we're seeing when they were out of form, then your season's out the window. So by having those two slots there and David Miller's slot, then you've only got one slot for one other person. So you might need to look at that as a different option.
Okay, well, all that for later, and they still have some cricket to play. They won't make the playoffs, but they can influence the race for the playoffs. They go to the Sunrisers, where Pat Cummins' side has a nice long break. They'd be looking to finish on a high. KKR, on the other hand, they'll take the point. They'll go to 19. They will now play, potentially, if it stays this way, a dress rehearsal for qualifier number 1 when they play the last league game of the season in Guwahati, away to Rajasthan at their adopted home. So let's just talk about the Knight Riders very quickly. This could have been an opportunity for us to see Ramanola Gurbaz. Phil Salt and the rest of the English contingent are already making their way back to the United Kingdom. And that's the only question, I guess, for a team that otherwise has ticked every box. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be favourites. Does this break in any way disrupt some of their momentum in game time? Another win here and you're really feeling, even better. But the Salt question is the only one they have.
Yeah, and I think they've got the answer to that in Gurbaz. Them not playing tonight, they'd be totally happy with that. They've got the outcome that they needed. 1 point's as good as 2, given their position on the table. They're guaranteed top 2, which is the most important thing. So they get, a second bite of the cherry if they, muck up that first final. But
it's a short turnaround as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that they only played the other day, travel, play. So not playing, it gives a couple of their key players that time to recover.
So this is actually a welcome day off, Saturday to Monday.
I thought before this game, they might have looked at resting a few guys anyway, like the likes of Mitchell Stark, give them a break with how much they've been playing, and so a few more of their key players, just with that quick turnaround. There probably was no point to try and stretched them after a big flight and straight after a second game.
Will they be winning the title? Who's calling it? KKR best placed, best team of the state so far, and will win this title? Will make the final at least?
They're definitely favourites.
Favourites?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, high probability.
Excellent. We'll talk more about the Knight Riders. They too can influence other results. If they beat Rajasthan, looking at where the table stands, we'll have complete clarity by then. But very quickly for the rest of the League 2, the English players leaving. RCB have a big game. Will Jacks is someone they'll miss. Phil Salt, obviously, for KKR, but we've discussed that. And Butler for Rajasthan. I think those are the three big ones. How do you see, say, RCB, maybe even CSK? That's a huge game on Saturday night, depending on other results. CSK without Moeen Ali, with not a lot of options on the bench either. Which team is most affected?
I mean, CSK definitely, because they need to win games to get into the top 4. So Moeen Ali just came into form. He played a good knock in the last game. So he obviously will be missed if they go into playoffs. Phil Salt, even though they've got Gurbaz, but he made a lot of impact this season. But Josh Butler, I would feel, he's somebody who Rajasthan Royals will definitely miss, because Tom Cadmore, he's probably the only replacement I see. And he hasn't played in India at all. And to come in and play in the playoffs, it's not going to be easy.
It's also, well, they are all but there, but it's also happening at a time where the wheels are slowly coming off.
They've lost 3 in a row.
Yes.
They've lost 3 in a row. And there is a scenario if they lose both their games, they're fighting it out for that 4th spot and on net run rate. So it's not that easy for them, where you would have thought a week ago they're in KKR's position, cruising at the top 2. They've lost form at the wrong time. Butler, to me, is a big loss, because he's like the temperature gauge for RR. I just see that his stability, his maturity around that group is really important. So Jaswal, who's had a couple of fine moments in this IPL, has also gone missing for a large portion of it. So more responsibility on him and others, Sanju Samson, to step up and fill that void.
Yeah, I think Will Jacks is going to be quite a big loss.
Yeah.
I think their season's really turned around since he came into that number 3 slot. Very impactful, and it's allowed them to put Patidar down to number 4. And just that top 4 has looked very, very nice. And then obviously Cam Green underneath that. They're going to have to bring in Maxwell, and we don't know where Maxwell's at. We know that he can have significant impact. And maybe the forced decision to maybe put him at number 3 will bring the best out of Glenn Maxwell. But I think Will Jacks has been superb, and don't underestimate how much that's going to be a loss.
I think what they'll do there is Green will go 3 and Maxwell will go to 5. That would be the obvious balance. Green's in some form. He'd welcome a chance to go in earlier just to get set, and he's a lot more dangerous getting set.
Awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, so we saw what he did when he was at Mumbai at 3, so that may well be the outcome there.
Well, we wait and see. We also have a lot of cricket to be played between now and Saturday, which will decide in true terms what the significance of RCB CSK is. Because tomorrow, Lucknow Super Giants are a team we shouldn't stop talking about. They've got 2 games away to Delhi and Mumbai, both of whom Delhi effectively out of the running, even though there is a mathematical equation, an unlikely one, Mumbai already out of it. So that's the game we look forward to. And I hope we have some fun there on the couch with the impact zone, etc. Don't pick the English players in the impact zone now, Mitch. They've gone home. So just making sure that I'm...
A couple of them being
That could be wild cards.
Yeah. I'm giving that advice to everyone. It's not like only Wasim, Tom, don't do that.
I reckon you're picking on him.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No,
already said I ate 2 chicken burgers.
no, you said that.
Well, no, you said I ate more than 1, so I had to admit I ate 2. It was just quality assurance for everyone else. Just make sure the second one was as good as the first.
Okay.
Tom Moody, Mitchell McClenaghan, Wasim, Jaffer, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts. We've tried to add a little bit of humour, dry humour, on a very wet day in Ahmedabad. Unfortunately, let's hope the weather steers clear for the 2 playoffs that are scheduled there at the end of the league stage. But hopefully, we'll get enough cricket to build up to and react to on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL tomorrow between Delhi and Lucknow, both looking to bounce back from defeats in their previous games to RCB and SRH respectively. So look forward to your company then. Download the mobile app if you haven't already. It'll have you covered with the scenarios piece as a result of today's washout and what that means for the rest of the league. We will see you hopefully tomorrow around the toss. Good night.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.